and then that reopened it on Sunday, and then that's when they realized it wasn't that busy. It was busy because it's always
whenever you have one,
it's expensive for like 5 minutes. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
So I feel like 15. It's like skydiving without the risk of falling.
Maybe only one for you. But they make it easy.
Once you're like out there, there's just nothing. And then there's like a flag right in the corner, and that's where it like if you're not happy, don't go yeah, so you want
We've done a lot of pieces everywhere. Does that happen to be prior to James Street?
That's in the touch on James Street. Yeah, we are.
When I looked at that, I thought, oh, and I hadn't seen that, I thought, oh, James Street.
close by and then it's like near the side. But like in the middle, it's still kind of going everywhere. Yeah, so if you're not quite enough in the rear, it sucks it back into the middle and then the light.
It's kind of a cool concept because how it goes, like, it like regenerates, like regenerates.
Whoever decided to do that, like, must have some expensive boats. Or whatever those things are.
What's the ground? You can't tell it's cement. It's like because we see at the edge of it, it looks like cement, and I was like, sure, it's not cement. But what is it?
It's not squishy.
It's
If you run it, there's a chance that you get it.
I feel like that's just not. You can't really.
Not really.
What do you think about those
Have like
things,
a
huh?
feed like and they say if you wipe it out, come out and see things. So you want to keep using it.
Just take a green. Even with the beginner guys, it's really bad.
There's a couple of spots about the same over
Like even if you fall off on the wall, you don't really see then you fall off.
But I suppose you think about the surface of the beach, they always circle in the rock. So I mean, they're both all, you know, they've always They all have I mean, I don't know, the waves, the waves must be more beyond something. They all
That's what I was wondering about. It's like, well, you come back and
That's probably more dangerous because there's like one part you wipe it out like
it's nice. Once they eat it, they would just white it with and they've got rice cheese as well.
It might be more heated.
I'll be roughing those.
You've got to wait
I'm a Slovenian.
I realised at the last like you said all right, we're ready?
Yeah. And he's got slippers too. Actually, I brought slippers for Grace too when she used to slip into there.
Alright, let's begin.
hey guys.
Awesome. Let's pray. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, King, we commit ourselves into your hands on this beautiful Shabbat. May your blessing reside on all of us who are hearing your word. May you fulfill the purpose for which you send your word to us today. And Abba, help us to have ears to hear and eyes to see what the Spirit wants to show us today. Abba, we ask that you would open our minds and our understanding, fill our hearts and our mouth with praise, and help us, Father, to do as you would like us to do. Father, speak your words today to us all, and may there be nothing of me in this message. In Yeshua's name, I commit myself into your hands. In Yeshua's name, amen. All right. The power of the tongue. The power of this tongue we say goodbye, unfortunately. Awesome.
I'd
Look at Chapsin.
love to stay.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling tired.
Can I steal your phone number for one of them? Oh, I'll take it. I'll give it.
We're just asking not to go on Facebook, that's all.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to ask
you
you
can
for.
transfer
All right. So the power of the tongue. Get your helmets. Get your helmets ready. It's gonna be a good one. Hopefully. Proverbs 18, verse 21. I'm gonna read the first person, the first part there first. 21a. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. As Jesse said before, how's your tongue feeling? Is your tongue powerful enough today? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. What does that mean?
There's power in what you say.
Power?
In what you say.
What you say?
Be careful
And
what
we
you
can
say.
bless and we can curse.
With the tongue.
Bless and curse, yep.
I'm not gonna say it.
Say it.
Well, because it's that verse that says that we are gods.
Yeah.
So like Abba, we can create and uncreate. Sort of.
We are gods. Why do you marvel at this that I say? Haven't you heard it say, you are gods? Yeah. It's in the scriptures twice. Messiah quite said it himself. Yep. That's interesting. What else? What else? What can we say about death and life being in the power of the tongue?
We prophesy with our tongue.
We prophesy. Yep. Anything else? Dynamos. Brother, you want to put something in?
Sets on fire.
Set on fire. Yeah.
Nuns.
By Gehinnom.
Sean.
The rudder.
We'll get there. We'll get to the fire. It's a rudder, like a rudder. Yeah. We'll get to that verse too. It's interesting that it's put in so casually, right? Oh yeah, death and life is in the power of the tongue, right? And you're left to wonder what that all means, right? Because it's an all-encompassing kind of situation. Death and life. You mean you can kill someone with your words?
Yes, you can.
Oh yes.
Well,
Oh, that's heavy. It means you can bring life to someone?
yes, you can.
Yep.
Big responsibility, I think, for the bride of Messiah, especially. Proverbs 21:23. Start. The verses, there's a lot of Bible verses to go through. Proverbs 21:23. Someone read that one for me.
Whoever guards his mouth and tongue guards his life from distresses.
Read it louder, sorry.
Whoever guards his mouth and tongue guards his life from distresses.
From trouble in my
Troubles,
translation. Whoever guards his mouth and his tongue guards himself, his soul, his
Yes.
nefesh, his neshama from trouble, his breath from trouble. 12:18. Let's keep it flowing, brothers. Come on, 12:3, 12:18.
Rash speaking is like piercings of a sword, but the tongue is the wisest healing.
Like piercings of a sword. In this translation it says thrusts of a sword are the tongue. But the words of the righteous are what? Healing.
His help.
13:3.
He who watches over his mouth guards his being, but he who opens wide his lips comes to ruin.
Whoever guards his mouth protects his life. But whoever opens his mouth invites ruin. Like he's ruined. Big mouth people are usually in trouble. Whoever guards his mouth protects his life. Matthew 12. I'm going to read 36 and 37.
But I tell you, on the day of judgment, men will give account for every careless word they speak. For by the words, they will be justified, and by your words, you will be condemned.
It is by your words that you will be justified, and by your own words you will be condemned. It is not by what you do, it is what you say. So what you do gains you points, but what you say is more important. Right? You either save your life or you will lose it because of what you say. 34 as well. Go back a little bit back. Verse 34.
Brood of adders, how are you able to speak what is good, being wicked? For the mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart.
Or out of the heart speaks the mouth. Right? Whatever's in your heart comes out of your mouth. So it's a heart issue. Proverbs 4:23.
Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
Out of the heart comes out
Issues of life.
the issues of life. Right? So what comes out of the mouth? Out of the mouth? The stuff that's in your heart, right? What's in your heart? The issues of life. Right? So whatever is in your life, whatever you've enthroned in your heart, that's what will come out. And that will either save you or it will destroy you. Romans 10:10. Romans 10:10.
For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and one confesses with the mouth, so he is saved.
So with the heart, one believes and is justified. Right? It happens internally. But with the mouth, confession is made unto salvation. Right? It has to come out from the heart to the mouth, and then you're saved. Has to happen internally first, and then it comes out. Right? And when it comes out, that's when you're saved. So life. Shalom. Shabbat tov. Shema. Shalom tov.
Okay, bye.
Right? So, the power of the tongue. Death and life death and life belongs to you, but it has to come out from your heart. It's whatever's happening in your heart that gives you life or death. Whatever's in your heart is what will give life and death to others too. All the people around you, right? You'll either kill them with your words, or you'll bring life into them and help them to flourish, right? It's like a plant. Right? If you give them rainwater, right, the plant will grow, get strong. Right? You pour vinegar in the plant, you'll kill it.
There was a scientific experiment. A plant, same plant, told this plant, "I love you," you know everything. The other one,
hate you. Yeah.
And so one flourished. Or water, the same thing. Water.
Yeah.
If you said it, it went all cloudy and dirty.
Yeah.
And the other one just through the words.
Yeah. Absolutely. Words have power.
Words are powerful.
But they have to come from inside, right? There has to be a change inside of you before that. Because Messiah said, if you drink of this living water, out of your inner being will flow rivers of living water, right? Ma'im Chaim, your living water, comes from the inside, from your heart. What's the condition of your heart? If the condition of your heart is bad, you can say whatever you want outwardly, but it doesn't mean anything. When what's inside of you comes out, that's what produces life or death. Right? A lot of people are good at pretending, so they put masks on and they pretend and they say things, but you see their lives and they're a mess. Everybody around them is a mess too, because they're the pollutant, they're the source of that bitter water. Right? But then on the other side, you see people that are beautiful. You just want to be with them. You just want to sit next to them and drink, because it brings life out of you. Some people are just a drain. You just want to get away from them, right? Because they're killing you with what they're saying. It's because in their heart.
Exothermic and endothermic reaction.
Yeah. There we go. Physics. The physics came out. All right.
Been proven.
True. James 1, 26 and 27. Jacob. James 1, 26 and 27.
If anyone among you thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is worthless. Clean and undefiled religion before the Elohim and Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world.
So a lot of people talk about religion and, we do this, we do that. Sorry, I didn't read that one there, but we'll get back to that one. And perfect religion has to do with what we do, but it has to come from a place that is inside, right? When we're talking about, he keeps himself from the world, from being defiled by the world. Right? A lot of people, they just have no problem with the world. Absolutely no problem with the world. They're okay being here, they're okay being out there. I mean, you can have the worst, most foul thing being played on music or whatever. They have no issue with it. Right? Because they're not clean inside, they're putrid inside. Right? And outwardly they look, the outward appearance, the whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but in the inside, full of dead bones, that scripture. We can look good on Shabbats, we can look good when we are in the crowd of the saints, right? But inside, what's going on inside is very different. Right? If you find it okay to be out in the world doing whatever, discos or bars with all the drunk people there, if you're okay with that, then there's an issue. There's a problem there. sitting down at the table with this pork everywhere, shellfish everywhere. I'm okay with that. There's a problem. If something doesn't make you like, oh, I'm uncomfortable in this environment, then something is wrong. You're part of the world. Nothing has changed on the inside. It's all outward appearing. Your religion is not perfect. It's just religion. And that's what religion is, right? It's going between. We're good with the world, we're good with God. We dab a little bit with God, dab a little bit with the world, and it's okay here and there and everywhere. Psalm 141:3. Let's read it. Brother David wrote this song for us.
What do you want to bring?
141:3.
O Yehovah, place a guard for my mouth. Watch over the door of my lips.
Set a watch, put a guard for my mouth. Set a guard for my mouth. That should be all our prayer, I think. Protect me from talking foolishness, or speaking words that are not worthy of a righteous person, of your sons, of your bride. If we say we are the bride of Messiah, then we need to realize that, I teach my daughters, and, whatever comes out of your mouth, you're a princess. Right? There are things that a princess doesn't say. Right? Today I caught my little one, Eliana. She was joking with a sandal, right? Saying, "Oh, that smells bad," right? So you think, what's the big deal? A little princess talking about bad smell. Right? It's just not something that a little beautiful girl should be talking about, right? Because it's foul. In society alone, it's foul. To be talking about body discharges and whatever else you want to put in the blanks. Right? So I teach my daughters, you have to be like a princess. Behave. When people see you, you don't shake their hands or give them a hug. Say hello. Say goodbye. Right? Good manners. That doesn't exist in this world anymore. I mean, kids raise themselves, so good manners go out the door. But we try to teach our kids good manners. In the same way, the Father wants us to have good manners. When we come together, when we're speaking to one another. Some things shouldn't be said in this environment. They defile. They defile this house. They defile the congregation. They defile you. Right? When you speak those things out loud, that's it. You already made yourself a fool in front of everybody. Right? And this is not how the bride of Messiah should act. Yep.
Here's a scripture and it says, I don't know what it is, that even a dumb person looks smart if they keep their mouth shut.
That's
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
that's
It's
so
in Proverbs.
true. Yes, that's the one.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes.
It's important that the bride of Messiah, who is the light of the world and the salt of the earth, right? People are looking unto us to see what's happening, right? We're in the spotlight. What are they doing? What's happening there? The Jews on one side, the Christians on the other side, the rest of the non-believing world. What would happen when all the miracles begin to happen, and they are starting to happen? When the power of God comes down like we used to be in the day of Pentecost, right? The signs and the wonders, and we are put in the spotlight. Because we all want the power, but do we want the responsibility with it? Right? Because the responsibility means you have to walk in righteousness in front of everybody. You have to conduct yourself like a man or a woman who is holy, set apart to God. No filthy communication, language coming out of your mouth. Because those things defile. Whether you agree with it or not, doesn't matter. They defile because the society that you live in doesn't approve of that. Whether it's in Torah or not, it's irrelevant. You are to be a light to the world. You can't be a light to the world if you're talking foul language. Foul stuff. Bridle your tongue, bridle your mouth. James 3. Who likes to read a lot?
All three?
Sure. The whole three.
Hopefully. It's only 18 verses.
Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, knowing that we shall receive greater judgment. For we all stumble in many matters. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man, able to bridle the entire body. Look, we put bits in the mouths of horses for them to obey us, and we turn their body. Look at the ships too, although they are so big and are driven by strong winds, they are turned by a very small rudder, wherever the pilot intends. So too the tongue is a little member, yet boasts greatly. See how a little fire kindles a great forest. And the tongue is a fire, the world of unrighteousness. Among our members the tongue is set, and one defiling the entire body, and setting on fire the wheel of life, and it is set on fire by Gehinnom. And every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and creature of the sea is tamed and has been tamed by mankind. But no man is able to tame the tongue. It is unruly, evil, filled with deadly poison. With it we bless our Elohim and Father, and with it we curse men, who have been made in the likeness of Elohim. Out of the same mouth process blessings and cursing. My brothers, this should not be so. Does the fountain send forth the sweet and the bitter from the same opening? My brothers, is a fig tree able to bear olives, or a grapevine figs? So neither is a fountain able to make salt and sweet water. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by his good behaviour his works in meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast against and lie against the truth. This is not the wisdom coming down from above, but it is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and self-seeking are, there is confusion and every foul deed. But the wisdom from above is first clean, then peaceable, gentle, ready to obey, filled with the compassion and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace.
Amen. Wow. I think we need to read this chapter a few more times, because there's so much in it that you sort of miss it when we go through it like that. So for homework, read it a couple more times at home, and I'll ask next week. If not, we'll read it again.
Do we need to memorize?
I read Psalms 119 as well.
I know.
I will listen to this one.
Awesome. James 3.
Can I just say something interesting today we were reading at home? Coincidence, I'm not sure, but it's Psalm 32, and it says, verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be like a horse, like the mule, with no understanding, with bit and bridle. Else it do not come near you. Many are the sorrows of the wicked, but as for the one trusting in Jehovah, kindness surrounds him. Be glad in Jehovah, and exalt in righteousness, and shout for joy, all upright in heart.
32 what?
32, 9 to 11.
No.
Psalms. 30, if you want Psalm 32, 1 to 11. But it's interesting that the actual, the horse and the mule, they've got the actual bit and bridle, right?
Yep.
So we're able to control them, and it makes a similar kind of connotation when we're just reading James 3.
Yeah. Because the tongue can be controlled. So anyway, it's like a fire, right? A little fire that kindles a whole forest. Now we know that in our own backyard, what's been happening, right? Embers, right? The ember attacks we've seen on the news. Right? Fires being lit a kilometer away because embers were flying and dropping down. It's the same thing with our tongue. You know, the power that is in our words, we take them very lightly. You know, and the image that we give to people when they speak to us, they either raise up our Messiah, right? They exalt him, or we are putting him down, which is breaking the commandment. You shall not bring the name of your God, the reputation of your God, to nothing, right? The one we used to say in vain, you know, don't bring the name of your God in vain. That actually means to bring his reputation to nothing. So your words can either bless our God and exalt him in the eyes of people, or they can bring him down. Look at these guys talking foul language, and, you know, mocking everything, and you know, I don't want to be part of that stuff. You know, their God means nothing. I mean, you know, if that's all that God can do, there's no change, right? There's no light shining. How do we show our light? By our words and our actions. Matthew 5:21 to 25.
You heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that whoever is wroth with his brother without a cause shall be liable to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, Rakam, shall be liable to the Sanhedrin. But whoever says, you fool, shall be liable to the fire of Gehenna. If then you bring a gift to the altar, and then there remember that your brother holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the altar. And go, first make peace with your brother, then come and offer your gift. Be well-minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge, and the judge to the officer, and you be thrown into prison.
Amen. So we're going to look at a couple of things there. How we speak to our brothers, to one another. You have heard it said of days of old, you shall not murder. 10 Commandments, right? And whoever murders will be in danger of judgments. Now I need to point out that that's only for the people of Israel, right? The 10 Commandments for the people of God. So it's talking about you're not to commit murder of your brother. You're not to murder your brother or sister. Whoever commits murder will be in danger of judgments. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. Well, I can be angry for a cause then, right? But then again, it says, right, that other verse says, do not let your anger go down with the sun, right?
So you can be angry, but God's
Not sin. Don't allow the sun to go down on your anger. Right? Forgiveness has to be swift. How many times shall I forgive my brother that sins against me?
70 times 7.
70 times 7.
Many times.
Okay, there's two verses. One says 7 times. The other one says 70 times 7. Some say 7 times in a day. So anyway. And whoever says to his brother, Raka, what is that about? Raka? I don't speak Greek.
Oh, where's
Oh, yeah. Actually Aramaic, not Greek, Aramaic. Would be no luck there.
That was a strategic move from Daniel.
Yeah. Alright, let's look at Raka. Hold on, I'm going to erase this. Sorry to give you my back for a minute. Just going to erase this.
Or it has no one's getting angry at you.
Okay, that's good.
No, the sun's already gone down.
I was just gonna take a photo of that.
Sun's going down.
Now the sun.
You use the power of forgiveness, Tracy.
Raka.
The bear of bookkeeping.
It's Aramaic. Aramaic. It's an Aramaic idiom. Just something that is in the language, but it's used in an idiomatic form. Raka means senseless. Without sense. S-E or
C-N-S-E. Less.
What's that? Senseless.
senseless. Without sense. Without common sense.
Common sense.
Senseless. Empty-headed. Empty head. And by association, worthless. It has nothing, it's worthless. Nothing and void.
A food for nothing.
That's what
Yep.
good for nothing.
You're good for nothing.
That's
You're a void. You're empty of anything important, anything good. Then the other word there, it says, where is it? Shall say to your brother Raka.
Versus Sanhedrin.
Where is it?
22.
22. You say to your brother Raka, empty-headed, good for nothing, you shall be in danger of the council, of the Sanhedrin council, right, for judgment. But whoever says to his brother, you fool, moros, whoever says to his brother moros, is what? Is in danger of hellfire. No, it's not hellfire. It's Gehinnom. I will talk about Gehinnom in a second. There's no word for hell, by the way, in your Bibles. There's no such word. Hell comes from Helios, or from the god of the underworld. So it doesn't exist in the Bible. There's no word for hell. There's Gehinnom. Gehinnom is one of the words translated as hell. And it means the valley of refuse, right? Your local tip. But in the ancient times, the tip was on fire. They used to burn off all the junk, all the leftovers with fire. So that place was always on fire. So whoever says you fool is in danger of being thrown out into the place of refuse, into the fire outside the city. Right? In other words, they were going to stone him and throw him out in the pit. Moros means, in its strict stance, godless. Godless. Oh, look, a Gentile. Fool. That's where we get the word moron from.
Moron.
Capsicum.
That's the moron.
Moron.
Moron. Can you write it?
Moron.
You rock away through that.
Stupid.
Oh, yes. There's the, is that an N on the end? Moron.
Yeah.
We just joined it with it.
Okay.
Like Spanish, in Spanish we tie up all the letters.
Oh,
We
okay.
write like that.
Yeah.
So every now and then some letters get tied up. Okay. Stupid, headless,
Headless.
brainless, another one, yeah.
How's that different to nothing and void, empty head?
Absurd. Because this is got nothing in it. This is actually got something in it, but it's bad. Yeah? But this is empty. You're empty. There's nothing there. You don't even exist. You are good for nothing. You are nothing. Right? This one, you're an idiot. You actually are something, but you're so stupid. It's
Could you
no
look at
worth.
someone else when you're explaining that?
I'm just explaining to Absurd. I don't know how to properly say this one, so maybe you can help me.
So the first was a concept, the second one is actual reality.
Imprudent. And that one basically without forethought.
Without forethought.
Doesn't think things through. Doesn't have any thoughts before he does his impetuous rush. The root of that is the root of this word is called mysterion. Mysterion. Where we get the word mystery from. It means secret. They gotta keep him a secret because they don't want him. He's ashamed, right? And that word is derived from mule. So it's derived from Greek word mule. The mule means to shut the mouth. Mule. Mute. So we get the word mute from. To shut the mouth. Shut your mouth. That's what it is. Mute. Be mute. By implication, one who can't keep a secret or his mouth shut.
That was me just before.
He wasn't looking. Can't keep us good.
So the implication of the word morals and all the stuff that we looked at is that basically people can't confide in someone that can't keep his mouth shut. Right? Who wants to confide your issues of life and your secrets to?
I've got another scripture.
Yeah, go on.
I know all the ones.
Yeah.
Gossip betrays the confidence of a friend. Yeah.
What's that?
In the Bible.
It's all in Proverbs. Yeah, absolutely.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's in Proverbs.
Told me years ago. It's all about.
Gossip is exactly that. A person that can't bridle his mouth. A person that can't bridle his mouth is also not trustworthy. In other words, he's good for nothing. That's why this implication of the word good for nothing. Because he can't be trusted. You can't trust him with anything. Because
But what about if he genuinely can't be trusted? You can't save. You can't be trusted.
he can't be trusted. Right? This is the implication of being amoros. And amoros is basically, according to the Jewish encyclopedia, one who is destined for destruction.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
But there's another scripture
Yeah?
that says
Wow,
like
she's
even
on
a
fire
child is known by his doings or something
Yep.
like that. And so in situations like that, well, if they know that, then they have to learn to bridle this because, you know, you get known for,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about other people, but like if you get known for like having a big mouth or gossiping, then, like say, even a child is known and you have to, because it takes a long time, reputation and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the
so
one
it's very important.
you said before that, or someone said before that, even a fool is believed to be wise when he keeps his mouth shut.
That's right, yeah.
Right? So, it can be learned. You can learn to bridle your mouth. And in fact, that's the whole point of this teaching in a way, to help us to understand that sometimes we gotta keep it locked in. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I've just got a little definition of that, what we've been talking about. It says, moron is used of persons meaning morally worthless.
Wow.
And it says it is a more serious reproach than raka, which scorns a man by calling him stupid, whereas moros scorns him concerning his heart and character.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So he really is.
There is a substance behind this word. There is something there in the person. In the Hebrew, they call him shoteh. Shoteh. So we'll go to the Hebrew as well. Shoteh is someone that is virtually, what's it called? Has a disability. A person who can't fulfill the commandment because he's disabled is a shoteh. But there's also another definition of that word which basically puts anyone who's stupid or that doesn't have the ability to bridle his character in that same position as one who has a disability. So the Hebrew word shoteh is, like I said, someone who has a disability.
Doesn't shoteh mean drink?
Shoteh can mean drinks as well. Drunk. It comes from the shota. It's a shota with an a at the end. I think he's drunk. Anyway, but yeah, there's connotations of being drunk in this word. But it's a person who has a disability. The shoteh. The word is connected with disability. But it's also used as someone who can't bridle his character or his person. He's unable to keep the commandments because he's stupid. It can also mean, because of the root word of that one is sateh. And that basically means deviant. Deviant, unnatural, goes against nature. Someone who strives after course. Someone who strays off course, strays off the path. So in the terms of the faith, he strays off the faith. Right? He can't keep himself in the path. Philippians 4. So this is all the negative stuff. Now let's look at all the positive stuff. There's some positive. We're going to end up on a positive.
In terms of, there are definitely times when one has to bite the bullet and keep the mouth shut.
Yep.
It's a good thing. But by the same token, there are times that we as Hebrews need to speak out.
Yeah.
There's a time for everything, as Ecclesiastes says.
Yeah. We're not talking about that kind of standing up for righteousness or any of that stuff. Talking about people who can't bridle themselves, who talk about anything that is foul, that is not good.
But you know why I say this? Because there is, at least in the other place that for many years I was part of, if you were a Christian, people challenge you, they didn't have an understanding, but aren't you supposed to turn the other cheek, and they challenge you because they've heard something, so because they think that you are now meek, or you're meant to be meek, and you're meant to be forgiving, they challenge your compassion of what you can do, and you can't answer them back, and you can't do anything. So that's where I'm going with this.
So the reason why we turn our other cheek is why we looked at it last week. When do we turn our cheek?
When you get hit. Yeah, when you actually get smacked with that cheek.
For what reason? There is a reason behind it. So they can do it again.
Wait.
And they criticize you for your righteousness.
For your righteousness, because of Messiah, because of his sake, then you turn the other cheek. Right? If somebody comes with a knife to kill your wife, and he strikes you on one cheek, guess what? He gets the rod of correction on the other.
Depends on how you feel about your wife.
No. I mean, you are to defend your family. You can defend your family. I'm not talking about people insulting you. Big deal. Insults come and go. Give them as good as you get them, kind of thing. But when they're talking about that when somebody strikes you on one cheek, turn the other, and all that sort of stuff. You're talking about righteousness. You're talking about the shining your light before men, right? So you're talking about righteousness, the righteousness that comes from the Torah and from Messiah. So we're looking at two different things. We're not talking about problems with family and that, although you should be a light to your family, regardless. So there shouldn't be foul language coming out of you, and there shouldn't be unforgiveness in your heart towards your family members, regardless of what they're doing, because you're not to fester inside yourself, because then the bitter waters come out, right? So inside of you there should be rivers of living water flowing out, right? That people want to drink from. Right? If you're a bitter person inside, no one wants to be near you. Okay, so let's get back to the actual. Where were we? I don't know where we were.
Philippians 4.
Philippians 4. Okay. 4 to 8. Philippians 4, 4 to 8.
Rejoice in Jehovah always. Again I say, rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The Adon is near. Worry for naught, but in all, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Jehovah. And the peace of Jehovah, which surpasses all understanding, shall guard your hearts and minds in Yeshua. For the rest, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, whatever is clean, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good report, if there is any uprightness, and if there is any praise, think on these.
Right, can we sort of list whatever the whatevers? Whatever.
What's the first whatever?
Verse 8.
Whatever is
Whatever things are true.
so whatever. People wrote this was a millennial, whatever. Whatever is true, honest or noble. Yep. Just. Pure.
Lovely.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Lovely.
I like the proper translation, which is approved.
Good report.
Approved. Approved is the proper translation of that. Translated as lovely.
Oh, is that
I think it
lovely?
means, it misses the understanding. It's approved. It's when a bride is judged and she is found to be approved. Anyway, double P or single P? Double P.
Yeah, I always get it wrong.
You disapprove.
I disapprove with myself. Okay. What is a good report? Good report. What we did today, talking about little Shayla, doing great. Good report. Whatever is. What else? What's the next one?
I think we're done.
No, it's too long.
And if there be any praise, on this praiseworthiness,
Yep. What is praiseworthy was before praise?
if there be any virtue,
Upright?
virtue,
Virtue, upright.
virtue is upright, virtue,
Virtue of life, right? Virtue means life.
yeah.
Upright. Or excellent.
Oh, excellent.
What is a virtue? What is living life? I think that's probably a better translation.
Yeah, the virtues, yeah. All the Catholics focus on virtues
Yep.
of character.
What's the last one?
And whatever is excellent.
Excellent.
I just missed the city.
Sorry. I just realized.
Okay, I think it was praiseworthy.
Yeah, that's clear.
I think you're evil.
Yeah, don't worry. Excellent. Excellent. That's not excellent.
It's excellent.
Whatever is worthy
Worthy.
of praise. Whatever is worthy of praise.
There's a lot of words.
Dwell on these things. What does it mean to dwell?
Think about it.
Meditate.
Nope.
Think.
Nope.
To dwell is to live on.
To live.
Yeah.
Very good. To dwell in. You dwell in your house. You live in it.
To
Right?
live with these,
Live for these things. Live in these things.
with that mindset, really.
Right? Forget about Trump.
What is it?
But yeah, exactly. I mean, not about the things that are going on around you, but don't dwell in them.
Yeah,
Don't live in them. Forget about the fire.
yeah.
I mean, I know
So
we're all
true.
suffering, we're all going through, but don't dwell in it. Dwell in these things. These are the things you need to dwell in. The good stuff. Right? Why? Because they are life to you. Right? All the other stuff is just detriment and death and horror and.
Negative.
Yeah. Oh, have you heard the last earthquake?
Oh.
8.9 in the Richter scale. Messiah's coming, the world is gonna end. And,
Everyone's going to be infected with
panic,
coronavirus.
horror.
I was going to say, you left out coronavirus.
Yeah,
The coronavirus, yes.
Virus. Yeah, that's
The cousin of the flu. Anyway. Pandemic, right?
Yep.
Horror. You know.
Yep. The virus.
Now we're all worried about what the Chinese are eating. Who cares what the Chinese are eating? Seriously. Let them eat whatever they want.
Facts.
You know. They serve their gods, they become like their gods, right? Like we studied last time, they become like their gods. Right, and so we can live on this stuff, on the good stuff. We can live on the goodness that God gives us. Or we can just... Rob, the corona? Do we need to call someone?
No offense, but can you do that outside?
Don't dwell on it.
Not well.
Very good.
Exactly. So this is the thing. We can. it says that the fear of man brings us near, right? When we are terrorized about things, when we dwell in fear, in the things that bring fear in us, when we dwell in those things, eventually will catch you. You'll get caught up by it, right? Job himself said, "That which I feared happened to me." Right? He was afraid of all the things that happened to him. Right? That was his fear, and it happened to him.
Sorry.
Yep. What?
No, yes, because I'm all over the power of the tongue, and
Yep.
I think that's great, the life and death and power of
Yep.
the tongue. But I also think, like Job, you know how though he slay me, yes, I trust in him. So
Yep.
people die, people get sick, whatever, and yes, we lie,
Yep.
but it doesn't change who he is. Because sometimes I think we can still get a little bit name it, claim it, and I'm all for positive.
No, we're not talking about
Yeah,
blabbering.
yeah, but I still think
Yep.
that he's God and we don't tell him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I still got it. Yeah, we just believe. I don't know what I'm saying, but I just.
All things work for good for those who love
yes,
Him.
yeah.
Right?
And we don't understand, but we don't. We
Yeah.
know He is God.
Will there be death? Yes, absolutely. There'll be death. Will there be sickness? Yes, absolutely.
And we
But
don't
you know,
understand. But
we don't need to worry about that. That's the point. We don't dwell in it.
yeah, yeah.
We dwell in the things that bring life. Right? When the prophet Elijah came to Elisha and he was there doing the work because he was working the fields, and he said, "Follow me." And he said, "Oh, let me go back to my parents and all the stuff." And the prophet said, "Let the dead bury the dead." And Messiah, basically the same thing with some of the apostles, right? "Come follow me." "Oh, but let me." We always have that excuse. Let me. We have some but there in between. And the thing is that when we come to this thing, is we gotta dwell in Him, not in the things that are around the world, around us, the things that, because there are many ministries that are built on fear. They're just, the blood moons and, the sun, getting dark. Well, yeah, there's signs. We know that. We're supposed to know the signs, but that's not gonna. I haven't got the T-shirt. No?
Oh, the red
The blood moon ones. I got it down there. Anyway. But the thing is, we're not to dwell on them. I mean, we need to know these things. We need to be aware of them, but they should not bring fear in us, right? Because God did not give us a spirit of fear, right? But a dominion and self-control. So this is the things when we start dwelling in it, and all we talk about, all that comes out of our mouth is, the latest report on how terrible the climate change is, or, or whatever else. I don't believe in climate change, but anyway, it's a nonsense thing.
It's made up.
Yeah.
It's made up.
The latest weapons that somebody's developed, or we're all gonna die, right? Or the Nephilim coming back, and we know all that's true, but that should not bring fear in us. On the contrary, right? It should make us dwell more and more on this stuff. Right?
In my weakness, your strength is made perfect.
Yeah. So when we got the report from Shiloh, no big deal. When the Father decides, He'll decide either way. But we're not afraid. And doctors like to do that. They have to protect themselves, so to cover themselves, they'll go out and tell you the worst case scenario every time.
Yep.
We've been through it a lot of times. We lost 9 children, so we know about that. Right? They'll come and give you the worst case scenario, right? Because they need to cover themselves in case. And then from that, then you build up, right? Whatever good you get, it's like, because you already hit rock bottom. Right, but the thing is, every time that we believe one of those things, one of those words that come out of their mouth, we believe them, we make them ours, and we put them in our hearts, and we dwell in those things, guess what? After a while, It becomes a reality. And you live in that. Oh, my child, he's got Asperger's. You wouldn't believe it. He's horrible, you know. I can't deal with him. Asperger's being a made-up, it's a made-up sickness. It doesn't exist. I've researched it enough. You know why? Because they label my sons with it.
Your sons?
Yep. They got no Asperger's. They got no problem with that. That's a lie. Right? But if you believe the lie and dwell in it, all of a sudden, guess what? Your child starts acting up the way that they told him he needs to act up. Because you have ADD, right? My Bible tells me a rod of correction will sort that out. Hey, where are the parents? Grab your rod. South America, they have the old sandal. Right? Or the belt. Yeah, the chancla. The chancla, there's funny videos about la chancla. Don't look at it.
Thank you.
Can I just add though, with the labelling of children with Asperger's and all these other ones, they're all just, they've actually just been made up, you know, that and then they label them and then you've given them a label. As we believe them, or the parents do, they actually manifest. We've manifested this. So if you've got fear in your heart, like for example for women, breast cancer, blah, blah, I don't even have a test because if you've already, I better just check just in case. That's already opened the door to it may happen, and then all of a sudden you might, you know, maybe
that which I
I'm
fear
going to go and check. So that manifests. So there's no point. There's no point to it. You've already, as soon as you open the door, you're.
And you can understand that a lot of these things are given to you as labels because there's funding behind it. And the more people come through with this sickness or whatever, the more funding they get. So it's a vicious circle, but what they're doing is promoting death, right? And we are aware that these things exist for real, in a smaller percentage of cases. But because of the fear that is created around those things, all of a sudden it's pandemic, right? And it's created that way. It's a system that works against us. And if we become part of that system, then, you know, the whole thing about vaccination, I'm sorry if you believe in vaccination, I don't. It's a lie. Right? The stuff they put in it is just ridiculous. Even the media.
You're just on fire tonight, aren't you?
You know, it's horrid. I've seen it. I actually saw my daughter, 25 weeks old. She was perfect. Going through, getting stronger every day. The same children next to her, twins, were born, 26 weeks, even a bit more than Tzion. And they got vaccinated, they got sick. 2 years later, they left the hospital. 2 years. You know, that's insane. All because, and I believe this sincerely, all because they got vaccinated. Because the moment they got vaccinated, within hours, those children were sick. You know. So anyway.
And also too, not just children's illnesses and diseases, but bipolar and schizophrenia and stuff. That their labels and medicines and end time doom, and there's no turning back. But testify, you walk out with this truth. And have no,
like I said, when you believe the lie. And
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you believe that.
You believe
want to
the lie.
You've opened the door.
The diagnosis.
A lot of the times, the meds themselves bring out the symptoms. But anyway.
Yes, Pablo, that is true. Everything. And for example, when you turn the TV and you start to watch the news and.
I don't watch the news.
You don't watch the news.
I don't watch the news.
We don't need to watch the news.
I don't watch the news because it's all propaganda.
Fake news. Have you got Foxtel? You've got to watch it.
You
got 3AW.
Because it's all meant to make you afraid.
The only news you need is the Beit Tzion.
You've got the good news. You don't need the
Live stream. That's right. Beit Tzion live stream.
Okay. Because every day we train
Like,
and we ask
know what's going on. I mean, generally know what's going on. But
it's a little, it's a fine line
it's a fine.
be unaware of everything. People in the work, at work, for example, you hear the news, something happens, blah, 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 and you start to say, oh, I didn't know. You look like an ignorant in front of them. So what is the
I'm happy to look like an ignorant
I'm happy to be
person.
What is the balance
if I'm-
between being informed and
Yeah.
don't be panicked like you just take
Okay.
everything negative? What is is a balance or?
The balance is this. Is it making you worry? Is it making you afraid? Right? If it's making you live in fear or what's going to happen next and you're checking to see what's going to happen next, that is an idol. I'm sorry, that's wrong. Right? To check what's going on every now and then, oh, I wonder what's going on, I see some smoke coming up, in the horizon, I'm going to check just to make sure I'm safe. That's wisdom, right? But if you're constantly, oh, what's the next fire? Where's the next fire? The next fire, it's like, that's now become an obsession, it's no longer,
I think also it's got to be a bit of common sense of
Yeah.
how you approach it, because you can be informing your filter what you want to hear, what you want to be able to
Absolutely.
listen to.
It's
If
it all
not, you will
depends on,
put it as an idol, definitely.
it all depends on how it affects you, but having constantly the feed from the news will affect you, absolutely.
I was listening to Derek preach. He actually said doesn't listen to the news, but his wife and him got a magazine once a week just to keep abreast, because it's a waste of time. You got all these ads and everything on TV, waste of time. So once a week he got a weekly sort of a magazine thing, so that he would just skip through just to see what's happening in the world, really. So it shouldn't be.
That's a good balance.
Yeah,
That's like
that's what he
recommended.
said. It's amazing.
I only
it's
check the
smart.
news when
You have to.
I heard that there's something catastrophic going on, and
Facebook.
yeah,
When somebody
and
says,
it can
"Are you
harm
aware of
us,
this?" Oh,
like
hold on, I'm gonna check
the smoke and
that
coming
was
down,
correct, yeah. Smart.
some stuff like that. We need to prevent purifiers or whatever, just for the day or whatever. Stuff like that makes sense to look at. But as a general rule, the news are bad news, always.
We got the good news.
Absolutely. Dwell on these things. This is the thing we need to live in. Because when people come and, we look like fools because we haven't checked the news or whatever, you know what? On the turnaround, they'll say, well, when I come close to these guys, all this good stuff is coming out. I don't want to hear that stuff anymore. I've got all that stuff all the time. I want to hear some of this stuff.
Because it's what you're feeding on, because what
Yeah.
goes in comes out. And I
Absolutely.
know, I'm a news person too. Someone else I live with might be news obsessed. Just saying. And sometimes because I have anxiety, he doesn't. And sometimes I have to say, stop, I can't cope with it.
Yeah.
Or I listen to 3OW, and sometimes they've got a radio station, but I could get so filled from the Apex gangs, I'll take a baseball bat to bed. And I have to say sometimes, I have to stop. But I have to say to him, stop, because I feel myself. And I have to feed on this because I get it. It doesn't affect him, but it affects me. So I just need to worry about what's going on in the world. And I just worry about, because it just messes me up.
The other thing is our environment. Who cares what's happening in New Zealand? Who cares? You know what I mean? I mean, it's important, but we're here. We're here, sort of. It's what's affecting you.
But you know what happens in America trickles down and happens here. Can I say they pop off bleed?
I understand that too in America, but it's not going to hit us straight away. It's good to know what Trump's up to
But the
and
bottom line comes
the global market.
comes to be informed but not obsessed.
Yeah,
That's
economy.
what it comes down to,
We
the
want to
bottom
know
line.
all about that.
Be
but-
informed but not obsessed. You filter through, you see what you want, and then you actually do all this, and then again you're able to know what's going on.
I guess also when it comes to that knowledge, it's how much knowledge do we get where it looks at the wisdom. You know what I mean? Like,
You know what the balance is? Can I just point out the balance?
Look at the balance.
It's how much time do you spend on the news
Yeah.
as compared to your Bible
Exactly.
and to your prayer.
Half of the stuff on the news recently is royal family.
If you say to me, I spend 3 hours on the Bible, 2 hours in prayer, watch all the news you want.
Well, that's what.
You'll be fine.
Time.
Right? But if the news are your feed and this is an afterthought, Not this, the Bible. Where's my Bible?
Oh, just get your Bible.
That's your
That's
Bible.
true, yeah.
Right? Then that's where the problem starts.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, what was that last?
If you're feeding on the news more than you're feeding on the Bible, that's where the problem is.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
It's good.
We live with a blessing, a Hebrew blessing. Beneath the set. What does it mean, brother?
Oh, is that the blessing?
Strength.
What is that?
Be strong.
Strength, be strong.
Is that the first one? Be strong.
And?
Be strong.
Yes.
We be Be strong, and may we be strengthened. Amen.
Do you know, sometimes I watch so much stuff too, I become immune to it.
Yeah.
And like, just recently, you know how you just constantly on your Facebook feed you hear about drag queens in libraries? And I just think, oh, if I have to see this picture one more time, who cares about drag queens in libraries? It's like it's not real.
Yeah.
And I went to work last week, my boss, who's a lesbian, short story, she was having a drag party for her son who's 11. So if your children went to school with her son, they would probably be invited to this drag party. And if you didn't send your... And it was like the yes vote. I felt sick. I went home that night and I was in trauma because the realisation of the world, sometimes, you know what I mean, like it hit home. Because sometimes I think if we can live in our little Christian bubble, you know, or especially Hebrew bubble, you know, like, and we don't think it's really happening. And then when you touch the world, you know, oh, it really is happening.
It's out there.
It's out there.
Everywhere you look, it's there.
And you see that, don't you, like when you go to work or shopping centres or something.
And the other side of that, the world is falling down. Let it fall down.
And there's going to be more
Let it.
of it.
Yeah.
It's not our place to worry about what the world is doing. Because God is allowing the things that are happening in the world to happen.
Oh, you just
And
made
he's in
me
full
go home and
control.
go, there's no way I can put my kids in childcare centre.
Absolutely.
Just
No.
no way.
But that's the same
It's
as
not the way.
Halloween.
It's not the way.
When they celebrated
The
Halloween,
Mandalorian,
did you
the
see
way.
how they were all dressed in the street? It was everywhere. I know.
This is the
I
way.
mean, the way they dressed, and the children. The children were dressed like witches and ghosts and...
Alright, we're dwelling on this, guys. We're dwelling on this good stuff. Back to this. Huzzah, huzzah.
Yeah, sorry. Let's do the blessing. Oh, I saw it. That's all I
We dwell in the good stuff.
Let's do this.
Whatever is true, honest, noble, just, pure, approved, of good report, of virtue, of worthy of praise.
Oh,
We
can
have
I
many
pray
words.
then just because I'm talking?
Yeah.
Okay, just to say something nice for Nathan. But to pick myself back out of my hole. Because my son's getting married in 5 weeks. I know.
Awesome.
And you know, he was just saying to Nathan the other night, like, you know, Dad, you've got to speak to me, you've got to give me, like, you know. Yeah, but like, you know, his true thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I just think that that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Because, like, I just think it's beautiful he's getting married in 5 weeks, but it's just beautiful when they love their dad and they want to. But the guidance is the Torah.
Yeah.
That, it's not,
That's honoring.
you know.
It's beautiful.
Isn't that awesome?
What?
You've done all right.
Awesome.
Well, I'm not sure left invited. Because apparently I make things. He doesn't want me.
Alright, James, can you help us, brother? Lead us off in prayer.
Sure.
Can you say that again? I want to see how it's pronounced.
Huzzah, huzzah.
Hazah is a K.
Huzzah.
Hazah.
Huzzah.
Hazah, hazah.
B'ni chesed.
Sorry?
B'ni
B'ni.
chesed.
And may be strong. Oh, may we be strong.
Strengthen.
Hazah, hazah.
Alright.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of Kings. Thank you for this day, Lord, that you've given us, and I pray that you please help us all to listen to what's just been spoken, Lord, and that we'll all take what we need in, Lord. And I pray that you please help us as this next week comes to live this, Lord, positively, Lord, in every manner of our being, Lord, that will be positive in the way we think, the way we act, where we are, Lord. I pray that. Thank you. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen.
Family, tell them about Beetlejuice.
Noted to us. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, I forget that thing.
Are we talking about the planet?
Shabbat Shalom.
Beetlejuice or the movie?
No, whatever's worthy of good mention. Shabbat Shalom.